Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. I'm just going to start out by saying that many people viewing this are not going to like what I have to say. And the reason it's not going to be liked is because it's what I believe to be the truth. I have a saying on my channel: there is no justice without truth. And that's just a short way to express what I mean. That phrase means I believe it is impossible for there to be any real justice if we do not know the entire truth. And as I always say, the truth may not be what people want to hear. Sometimes it can be ugly. Sometimes it can bring up things that are uncomfortable to think about, and especially to talk about out loud. And sometimes it's completely on the other side of things, where it's just not as juicy and dramatic as rumors can be. So in a sense, it's too boring to listen to. Shanquella Robinson's case has been a point of contention for a long time for many people. Recently, some things have come out to back what I have been saying since I began to research this case. One thing has changed for me though. I used to very strongly believe that we would see justice here, but unfortunately, the truth about this case is so deeply hidden that I don't know if it's possible that we are ever going to see any real justice for Shanquella Robinson. But because I want this justice for her and for her family, I'm putting this video out and I'm laying it on the line, and I do not care whatever backlash I may get from it. Of course, I am just another talking head on YouTube. But because I do have a platform, albeit small, I choose to use it how I want to use it. I maintain my integrity and I try my best to make sure that everything I speak about on my channel has been thoroughly researched. And if I come across something that hasn't been talked about and I think it's important, I do try to bring it to your attention. I have 3 other Shanquella videos if you would like to check them out before this one, because I'm just going to get right into it. This is my opinion. But my opinion is based on facts that we have recently learned, as well as facts that I've collected along the way. I have one word for this case, and one word for the meaning as to why we are not seeing any progress. And that word is extortion. I have been saying it from the start. Some people misunderstood what I was saying in my first video about the extortion piece because they didn't take their time to research for themselves. And that's fine. You don't have to take my word for anything. Do your own research, form your own opinion. Now, I'm only going to briefly go over the extortion practices in Mexico. If you want to hear more about that, you can, for one, research it on your own. And for 2, you can watch that video of mine that I was talking about, and I'll put that up right here. You can click on it. Nancy Grace has inserted herself within this investigation, and she's really taken up for the family of Shanquella Robinson and really fought to keep her case in the public eye. Love the woman or hate the woman, when it comes to the Shanquella Robinson case, she has really put a lot of time and effort into seeking justice. Now, she just interviewed a man by the name of Irv Brandt, and something very important came out within that interview. Something that's more than likely, in my opinion, the reason that we have not seen an arrest. In my full case review of Shanquella Robinson, I spoke about the process of extradition when it comes to extraditing an American citizen back to a country where they may have committed a crime. In this case, that would be Mexico. There's a treaty. I briefly touched on what was in that treaty, and I really didn't think I would ever have to go this deep into it, but yet here we are. So to break it down in terms that are easier to understand, rather than all this legal mumbo jumbo, of course, you can simply Google it yourself, and I would recommend that you do so that you fully understand what the problem here seems to be. The treaty has certain punishable crimes listed. If that specific crime is not listed within the treaty or is not recognized by either country for whatever reason, then it's basically useless. So we have a crime that's been allegedly committed by an American on vacation in Mexico. In order to extradite that American back to Mexico, the charges have to be accepted by the American government as well as the Mexican government. Now, the Mexican government recognizes femicide. However, the American government does not. At least, it's not a word that is specifically written within the treaty. This may be the reason that the extradition isn't happening. I do believe that this is why the family has sent and had other people send dozens upon dozens of pink letters to the Mexican government to catch their attention, begging them to do the right thing here and to change that wording from femicide to homicide so that justice can be served. Now, to be fully transparent, no one has actually come out and actually said this is the case. It is all alleged. So I could be completely wrong. Just a little disclaimer to cover my ass. I could be 100% wrong. But one thing I know I am not wrong about is that extortion exists everywhere, but it especially exists in Mexico and in the beautiful vacation town of Cabo San Lucas, as well as some of the surrounding areas. Again, if you doubt what I am saying, just do your own research. Americans have been extorted in Mexico for many, many years now. And at this point, the US government has just put out yet another warning to Americans about traveling to certain parts of Mexico. Gee, I wonder why. Well, I guess you're going to hear my opinion as to why right now. There's this saying about Las Vegas, Nevada. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? And that term's used very loosely, basically for gambling, cheating, things like that. Nothing too major. Well, there should be a new saying. What happens in Cabo stays in Cabo. Because it appears to me that you can pay American money to get whatever you want in Mexico, including help with the cover-up of murder. And I do believe that that is what happened to Shanquella Robinson. And I believe that because of that, we may not see any justice. I put out a video explaining how Mexico has been extorting Americans for many, many, many years, decades even, and that's what we know about. There have been warnings from the US encouraging Americans to be careful when traveling to Mexico and even suggesting not to do it at all. I had to first allow people to understand that this does in fact happen. And I encouraged people to do their own research when they told me I was full of crap. I then put out a video about how because of these extortion practices, that it would not be far-fetched at all to think that the Cabo Six extorted them. The holdup is Mexico. In order to arrest the person allegedly responsible for the death of Shanquella Robinson, there needs to be evidence against her. And the only people that have that evidence right now, or should have that evidence right now, are in Mexico. The U.S. has not received any of that information as far as I am aware, and the charge is a charge that the U.S. does not recognize within the treaty. Can this all be fixed? Absolutely. They simply need to change the charge from femicide to homicide, and then they also need to send the U.S. all the information that they have to prove what happened to Shanquella, and that it happened at the hands of this person in question listed on the warrant. Why would they not want to do that? Some people would say because they don't give a what about Americans, and I wouldn't argue that at all. I don't think they do. But that's not the only reason that they wouldn't want to do that. When I was researching some of these shady things that are done in Mexico, one of these things is they do not like prosecuting even their own people for crimes committed against their own people, especially in the areas that get a ton of visitors from other countries, areas where they make a lot of money from people vacationing. This is a huge thing. And like I said, feel free to research it. Your mind will be blown. They do not want to appear that they have a crime problem in these areas. Because think about it. These are the areas that make Mexico the most money. If people are afraid to travel there, they're going to lose a lot of money. We already have evidence from a video that something happened in that villa with Shanquella involving a certain person. Experts that have watched this video can see, in their expert opinion, the exact moment where Shanquella would have gotten the injury that was found and noted in her autopsy and determined to be the fatal injury. What we also know is that the autopsy and the police report do not match, not even a little bit. Now, isn't that suspicious? So, who lied? The coroner or the police? The Cabo Six were long gone by the time the coroner received the body for examination. The coroner couldn't have been extorted, so why would the coroner lie? The doctor has been fired, and I wonder why that is. I know your time is valuable, so I'm not going to waste any more of it. I'm going to tell you straight up what I believe the truth to be in this case. First responders, as well as Dr. Carolina Gutierrez, were extorted by the Cabo Six. And this is my opinion based on what we do have as far as evidence. Because of this huge cover-up that Mexico played a big part of, they are dragging their feet and they are trying to find any possible way to not send any files to the US. This is a national headline case. Mexico does not need to be found out on this level. What exactly happened there? They are going to do whatever it is that they think they can, and they are going to find whatever loophole they can to keep the truth from coming out. And to them, it's just one American life. What do they care? I wouldn't be surprised if they picked femicide for that reason, that they knew that American government did not recognize femicide as a crime. Not that we don't recognize it, but that it specifically isn't listed within that treaty. Therefore, it cannot be used as a reason to extradite. Look this up, you guys. Look it up if you don't believe me.
We know what happened. We all know what happened. Investigators in Mexico say an arrest warrant has been issued, but no suspect named. No one has been apprehended. And this was very recently. So what is the holdup? So Irv, can you give it to me in a bullet? Hit me. What can we do? What can be done?
Short version.
Yes.
The United States cannot arrest on a foreign government's arrest warrant. The United States can only arrest on an extradition warrant issued out of U.S. District Court. And the only way for that to happen is the Mexican government has to submit an extradition request to the Department of Justice Office of International Affairs. Until the Mexican government does that, the U.S. cannot do anything about it.
And it's got to be on a charge that we will extradite on.
Under the treaty.
Obviously not recognizing femicide. It doesn't come under the treaty, so it's got to be homicide. We want justice for Shanquella.
If you are enraged by this, there is a phone number that you can call to help try to have Mexico pick up their feet so that we can attempt to have some sort of justice, even if we get the one with the warrant. I know, we want all of them. Trust me, I do too. They should all be extradited and all be punished. I wish there was a way for them to be punished here. I do too, I understand. But if we can just get the main person, that would be something very valuable to the family. The phone number is 888-407-4747. You can call that number and you can simply say, I want justice for Shanquella Robinson. Mexico needs to know that Americans are not going to back down on this, that we will not just go away because they're being difficult. Shanquella Robinson was one of our people and we want justice for her. And if your people screwed up, then they need to own up to it. Thank you guys so much for listening. If I have said anyone, that was not my intention. I take this case very seriously. I take all of my cases very seriously. And I just had to get this out because I'm enraged. To be honest, I am enraged by this. And I want change. So take it however you want to take it. My intentions are good and they are with the family. And I do want justice for Shanquella Robinson. And I hope whoever is watching this does too. See you guys on the next one.